Hello everyone, welcome to this lecture on the fundamental properties of real number. My name is Cheryl Mintuda and today we'll be discussing the fundamental properties that make the real number a field. Let's start.
First, let's define what a field is. A field is a set equipped with two operations, addition and multiplication, that can satisfy certain properties. These properties ensure that we can perform arithmetic operations consistently within the set. Thus, we can define that the set of real numbers, together with addition and multiplication, forms a mathematical system called a field. The real number system is a fundamental concept in mathematics. It encompasses all numbers that can be represented on the number line. In the real number system, there are 6 axioms of the field of real numbers. To start, we have the axiom 1, the closure property. Note that in the field, it requires two operations, addition and multiplication. Thus, we can start with the closure property of addition. It states that for any real number a and b, the sum a plus b is a real number. And the closure property under multiplication states that the product a times b is again another real number. So let's see how it works. Notice that 3 and 4 is a real number. If we add 3 plus 4 is equal to 7, in which 7 is again another real number. Similarly, 5 and 6 is a real number. Multiplying 5 and 6 will give us 30, where 30 is again a real number. Or we can also have negative 2.5 and 7.9, which is another real number. If we add negative 2.5 plus 7.9, we get 5.4, which is again a real number. Or we have negative 3 and 0.5. If we multiply negative 3 times 0.5, that is equal to 1.5. Again, another real number. Or we can also have 4/3 and 1/3, which is another real number. Adding the two, 4/3 plus 1/3 is equal to 5/3, which is again another real number. Or if we multiply negative 3/2 and positive 1/3, we get the negative 3/6. If we get this one in the lowest form, we have the negative 1/2. And the negative 1/2 is again a real number. So this example clearly shows that the sum and product of two real numbers is again a real number. Now, let's proceed to the second axiom. Axiom 2 is the commutative property. Commutative property of addition states that for any real number a and b, a plus b is equal to b plus a. And for multiplication, a times b is equal to b times a. Now let's see how it works. Notice that if we have 3 and 4, if we add 3 plus 4, the answer is 7, which is equal to 4 plus 3. Similarly, 5 times 6 is equal to 30, which is equal to 6 times 5. Or negative 1 plus 6 is equal to 5, which is equal to 6 plus a negative 1. Or we also have 7 times a negative 2 is equal to negative 14, which is again the same as negative 2 times 7. Or we have negative 2.5 plus 7.9 is equal to 5.4, which is the same as 7.9 plus a negative 2.5. And lastly, if we have negative 3 times 1/2, that's equal to negative 1/2. And that's equivalent to 0.5 times negative 3. So in conclusion, the commutative property states that the order in which you add or multiply two real numbers does not affect the results. Now let's proceed to the third axiom. Axiom 3 is the associativity property. It states that for addition, For any real number A, B, and C, the quantity A plus B plus C is equal to A plus the quantity A plus B plus C. And for multiplication, for any real numbers A, B, and C, A times B times C is equal to A times the quantity B times C. Now let's see how it works. For example, if you have 2 plus 3 plus 4, that is equal to 2 plus the quantity 3 plus 4. Now why is this? Notice that if we add 2 plus 3 first, we get 5. And on the other side, if we add 3 plus 4, we get 7. Now, 5 plus 4 and 2 plus 7 are both equal to 9. So clearly, the quantity 2 plus 3 plus 4 is equal to 2 plus the quantity 3 plus 4. Also, 1 times 2 times 3 is equal to 1 times the quantity 2 times 3. Again, if we add first, multiply first, 1 times 2, we get 2, and 2 times 3, we get 6. So 2 times 3 is 6, 1 times 6 is again 6. Or we have negative 1 plus 2 plus 5 is again equal to negative 1 plus 2 plus 5. Adding negative 1 and 2 will give us 1, and 2 plus 5 will give us 7. So 1 plus 5 is equal to negative 1 plus 7 because that is both equal to 6. And for multiplication, 3 times negative 2 times 4 is equal to 3 times a negative 2 times 4, which is again 3 times a negative 2 will give us negative 6, and negative 2 times 4 will give us negative 8. Negative 6 times 4 is again equal to negative 24, which is again the same as 3 times a negative 8. So to summarize, the associative property states that the way in which you group numbers when adding or multiplying does not affect the result. Now let's proceed to the fourth axiom. Axiom 4 is called the existence of identity element. Existence of additive identity states that for any real number a plus 0 is equal to 0 plus a, which are both equal to a. And thus, the number 0 is called the additive identity. And the existence of multiplicative identity states that a times 1 is equal to 1 times a, which is again equal to a, implying further that the number 1 is called the multiplicative identity. Now let's see how it works. Consider a real number 5. If we add 0 to 5, it will give us 5. Thus, if we add 0, it doesn't give us another result, but it gives us the same number, implying that 0 is the additive identity. Similarly, consider the real number 6. Multiplying 6 by 1 will again give us 6. So, it does not give us another result, but it gives us the same number. So, it means that 1 is a multiplicative identity. Now, in here, the existence of identity element simply states that if we add 0 or multiply by 1, whatever the number is, it will leave us with the original number. Now, let's consider negative 7. Negative 7 plus 0 is equal to negative 7, the same number. If we have negative 2/3, again, negative 2/3 plus 0 is equal to negative 2/3. So it means 0 is an additive identity for whatever the number is. And if we have negative 8, Negative 8 times 1 is again equal to negative 8. And negative 5 halves times 1 is again equal to negative 5 halves. So again, whatever number you multiply to any number, whatever number you multiply to 1, the answer is always 1. So it means 1 is a multiplicative identity. So in summary, action 4 states that adding 0 or multiplying by 1 leaves the original number unchanged, making 0 the additive identity and 1 the multiplicative identity. Now let's discuss the fifth action. Action 5 is what we call as the existence of inverse element. For addition, it says that for any real number a, there is a unique real number negative a such that a plus a negative a is equal to 0, and that's equal to negative a plus a. Thus, the number negative a is the additive inverse. And for multiplication, for any real number a, there is a unique real number 1 over a such that a times 1 over a is equal to 1 and 1 over a times a is again equal to 1, implying that our 1 over a is the multiplicative inverse of a. So take note that 0 and 1 are both the identity element. 0 is the additive identity and 1 is the multiplicative identity. So for a real number a, the negative of a is a unique additive identity such that if we add a by the negative of a, it will give us the additive identity 0. Similarly, for multiplication, 1 over a is the unique multiplicative inverse of a, because if we multiply a by 1 over a, it will give us the multiplicative identity 1. Okay, so let's see how it works. Consider the number 5, the real number 5. Take note that 5, the additive inverse of 5 is negative 5 because 5 plus a negative 5 is equal to 0. Also, the multiplicative inverse of 5 is 1 over 5 because if we multiply 5 by 1 over 5, it will give us 1. Another, if we have negative 7, the additive inverse of negative 7 is the positive 7 because negative 7 plus 7 is 0. While its multiplicative inverse is the negative 1 over 7 because negative 7 times a negative 1 over 7, the answer is 1. Also, if we have the negative 2/3, the additive inverse of the negative 2/3 should be the positive 2/3 because negative 2/3 plus 2/3, the answer is 0. And its multiplicative inverse should be the negative 3/2 because negative 2/3 times the negative 3/2, the answer is 1. So to summarize, the existence of inverse element states that the additive inverse of a real number is its opposite sign, as you have noticed, while the multiplicative inverse is its reciprocal, but they should have the same sign. So for example, for here, if you have negative, then the inverse should be negative also, but you take the reciprocal. Okay? But for the additive inverse, it's the same number, but you take the opposite sign. For negative, you take the addition. If it's positive, you take the negative. In addition to the properties of addition and multiplication, real numbers also satisfy the distributive property. This is the last but not the least action. Action 6 states that the distributive property of multiplication over addition states that for any real number a, b, and c, a times b plus c is equal to a times b plus a times c. Okay, so let's see how it works. Consider 2 times 3 plus 4. Now, by using the DPMA, it simply says that we have to distribute 2 inside the quantity. So, it becomes 2 times 3 plus 2 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. So, if we add 6 plus 8, we get the answer 14. But consider, if we add first the 1 inside the quantity, so 3 plus 4, then we get 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is again equal to 14. It means that both methods give the same result. So, the DPMA simply states that multiplying a number by the sum of 2 other numbers is the same as multiplying the number by each of the addends separately and then adding the product. Okay? So, let's give more example. For example, if we have negative 3 times 2 plus 5. By DPMA, it simply says that negative 3 times 2 and plus the negative 3 times 5, which will give us negative 6 minus 15, which is again equal to negative 21. And for negative 4 times the negative 3 plus a negative 2, again, by DPMA, it becomes negative 4 times a negative 3 plus a negative 4 times a negative 2, which will give us 12 plus 8 and again equal to 20. Or we can also have 1/2 times 1/3 plus 5/3. By DPMA, if we distribute 1/2, it will become 1/2 times 1/3 plus 1/2 times 5/3. 1/2 times 1/3 is 1/6. 1/2 times 5/3 is again 5/6. Now, since you have the same denominator, so you simply add the numerator. 1 plus 5 will give us 6 over the same denominator. So, we copy the 6 as the denominator. So, 6/6, that means the answer is 1. And for negative 1/2 times 2/3 plus 3/4, it will give us negative 1/2 times 2/3 plus a negative 1/2 times 3/4. Negative 1/2 times 2/3 is negative 1/3 because negative 1/2 times 2/3 is actually 2/6. 2/6 in lowest form is 1/3. And for negative 1/2 times 3/4, that is 3/8. Now, since you have different denominator, 3 and 8, so what we're gonna do is we get first the LCD. The LCD is 24. 24 divided by 3, the answer is 8. 8 times a negative 1, so we get a negative 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3 times a negative 3, so we get a negative 9. So it means for the numerator, we have negative 8 minus 9, and that is negative 27/24. So we have discussed the field properties of real numbers. Now we have to consider this remark. The properties A1 to A5 and M1 to M5 are parallel properties. A stands for addition, M stands for multiplication. So we simply replace the addition by the multiplication to convert from A1 to M1. But this is a very important remark that the division by 0 is not defined. Thus, the multiplicative inverse are defined only for non-zero real number because 0 has no multiplicative inverses. So to summarize, the field properties of real numbers include closure, associativity, identity elements, inverse elements, and commutativity for both addition and multiplication, as well as the distributive property. Thus, The properties ensure that we can perform arithmetic operations consistently and reliably within the set of real numbers.
Thank you for listening to this video on the field properties of real numbers. See you in the next lesson.